Welcome to the Just Mash Film Awards 2026. I am your host, Josh from Just Mash. Today we're here to celebrate the best of film for the year 2025, and what a year it was. With films like Sinners, One Battle After Another, The Life of Chuck, Weapons, Hamnet, Sorry Baby, and many, many others. It was an incredible year for cinema. Now, here at Just Mash, we are the most prestigious film award show on YouTube. Oh, what's that? Oh, the Oscars are going to be on YouTube. Oh. Well, here at Just Mash, we're the most prestigious film award show on YouTube for now. Throughout the night, we're going to read some nominations and check in with our co-hosts, Josh and Matthew from Just Mash. How's it going, guys?
What's going on, Josh? Thanks for throwing it to us. I'm Josh.
And I'm Matthew.
And of course, we are the hosts of the Just Mash podcast. You can also see us on the YouTube channel, Just Mash Productions. And yeah, it's exciting to be here for the 2026 Just Mash Film Awards.
Never met those guys. Seem like great dudes, though. And you know, 2025 was the year of dual performances. So in the spirit of that, we won't be doing any of that here. Josh looks awfully handsome, though. Let's kick the show off with the Best Supporting Actor and Actress categories. Guys, take it away.
And the nominees for Best Supporting Actor: Jack O'Connell, Sinners; Adam Sandler, Jay Kelly; Miles Caton, Sinners; Jacoby Jupe, Hamnet; Sean Penn, One Battle After Another.
So it's a great set of nominees for Best Supporting Actor. What do you think of Best Supporting Actor for 2025?
I think obviously Sinners was talked about a lot, and for good reason. We had two different actors from that movie on here, but there were some other ones that, you know, we flew a little bit more under the radar. Adam Sandler, for example. I mean, what a phenomenal performance. So human. I loved his relationship with George Clooney in that movie, but didn't see a whole lot of buzz about it. So people are getting their flowers today.
It's weird. Adam Sandler, when it comes time for awards discussions, whether that be Punch Drunk Love, whether that be Uncut Gems or whatever it is, never gets like the recognition he deserves. Of course, we give The Sandman his flowers. Jay Kelly's the film that like I really loved and resonated with me, but Adam Sandler feels like the most relatable aspect of that movie, and I think it's his most genuine performance, because like Punch Drunk Love is a very emotional performance, but that guy doesn't feel as real as he does in Jay Kelly, in my opinion. Like he feels like he's playing a person, you know, as opposed to playing an emotion like Punch Drunk Love, which is still an incredible performance, but it's also not like Happy Gilmore or, you know, Billy Madison or Little Nicky. Like, this is a real dude. One of the few times he's played a real dude.
And it's about an industry that he knows quite a lot about.
Yeah.
He's been in for years. So it's probably pretty close to the heart for him.
Sean Penn, I mean,
powerhouse.
His best performance that I've ever seen. It's interesting, both Sean Penn and Jack O'Connell. I've been like putting a lot of effort into a side project for the channel of greatest movie villains of all time. Both of them to me are like in serious running for that list. Both Sean Penn in One Battle and Jack O'Connell in Sinners. The way that Sean Penn changes the way he speaks and walks in that movie is insane. Such a hateable character too. Feels so fleshed out though, and feels very like real in terms of what we deal with like, you know, political leaders or people appointed to positions they shouldn't be.
Timeless.
Yeah,
timeless. A good villain's timeless.
Yeah, Jack O'Connell. I mean, you know, I grew up watching Skins, so like him as Cook is one of those like actor defining performances. You know, I always see him as Cook. This is one of the first performances where I've seen him step out of that. It's still very Cook-like if anyone's ever watched Skins, but the way that he's able to kind of tap into the emotional core of who Remick is in Sinners, I just think is like insane.
And, you know, playing opposite Miles Caton too, they have a sort of interesting dynamic throughout the whole movie. I mean, at the very beginning, first time we see Sammy, you know, we get those flashbacks of what the movie is going to play out to be. But I love their dichotomy, and Miles Caton obviously is phenomenal. I learned that he did not know how to play much guitar before this movie, so he had to learn pretty much everything in the course of a few months to shoot that. Which
that's crazy.
It's phenomenal guitar playing too, and in a difficult genre.
I mean, he's a phenomenal musician. Like, just even, you know, separate from this, I think some of the scenes in that film that resonate the most with me is when he's playing an instrument and singing. Obviously we'll get to best scene later down the road, but all of his performances in this movie are phenomenal. And the last one, Jacoby Jupe from Hamnet, who plays, Hamlet, or Hamnet, and then it's called Hamlet in the movie in real life, obviously, maybe the best child performance I've ever seen. Maybe. I would have to sit down and think about it, but I mean, he is without a doubt the emotional center of that movie. It all revolves around him. I mean, he's the titular character, but I was blown away as someone who, like, I don't want to say hates kid performances, but like half the time is like annoyed by kid performances, completely locked in and honed into what this kid was doing and the choices he was making.
Yeah. And it's so
powerhouse.
It's so tough to tap into those emotions that you don't even really fully understand until you're an adult most of the time.
Yeah.
And to be able to recreate that and to play that out so effectively, I think is just, I hope that kid goes super far.
Yeah, same. All right. So without further ado, the winner of Best Supporting Actor.
And the Mashie goes to Miles Caton, Sinners.
It's a tough year. I mean, any one of these five could have won it, realistically. And there's a lot of honorable mentions. Lucas Hedges in Sorry Baby is someone that I was a big fan of. I would have liked to have nominated. The kid from Weapons that plays Alex, somebody that I would have loved to have nominated. Aidan Delbus, I think is his name, from Begonia, is another one to throw out there. But I think Miles Caton gave the best supporting performance of the year, hands down. One of the most emotionally moving in a year of emotionally moving categories. Without him and without his character, but the way he plays the character Sammy within Sinners, the movie just does not function in the same way. It all hinges on having someone like him that you can kind of self-insert as the audience and like take, go along the ride with. Without him, the movie just doesn't work in the same way.
Yeah, and I think his engine of being a musician primarily, I think, gave him so much fuel to bring Sammy to life.
And like one of the things that I do love about that character is, like, I do think it's supposed to be the self-insert, but the fact that he's like, his character is along for the ride, and the movie, just as crazy as it gets, he's there throughout all of it, especially and we're not going to go into like spoilers or anything, but like the ending, with what that is, the context of with what that is, I think is like phenomenal. It's one of my favorite characters of the year, but just in general, one of my favorite performances.
Yeah,
so,
very, very excited for Miles Caton.
Yeah, congrats, Miles Caton, Best Supporting Actor for the Just Smash Film Awards 2026. Okay, so now we'll do a Best Supporting Actress. So the Best Supporting Actress nominees are...
And the nominees for Best Supporting Actress are Naomi Ackie, Sorry Baby; Amy Madigan, Weapons; Kate Siegel, The Life of Chuck; Karen Gillan, The Life of Chuck; Inga Ibsdotter Lilius, Sentimental Value.
Another intense category, Best Supporting Actress. There's a lot of names that had to get left off, but I think in the nomination process, these were the five performances that just spoke to us most. Life of Chuck is a movie that blew us away when we saw it in theaters and really got no attention or respect from any awards body for some reason.
You're going to see a lot of love for it tonight, let me tell you that.
Yeah. Kate Siegel and Karen Gillan both being nominated for it, kind of similar to like Sinners. Life of Chuck is a movie with two very strong supporting actress performances. Karen Gillan in that first act, really especially, which, I mean, no spoilers for the Life of Chuck, but if you've seen the Life of Chuck, that first act is like one of the greatest things of all time, in and of itself. And Karen Gillan plays a really important part of it, especially the end of the first act.
Oh, yeah.
Her and Chiwetel Ejiofor in the backyard looking up at the stars. I mean, what an intense, insane scene. Kate Siegel in The Life of Chuck, a smaller role, but a true supporting performance in my eyes. The multitudes speech that she gives to young Chuck, obviously I Contain Multitudes is, a long established thing. It doesn't come from that film, but her delivery of it and her explanation of it, I think, is the thing that is like the linchpin of the movie for me. It's the thing that holds it all together.
And if you can take something like that that's been around for a long time and make it so unique that now anytime I think of that, I'm going to think of this movie. And so much of that is based in that performance and that delivery. That was so important.
Absolutely. And it recontextualizes what that original story is. You know, kind of like you said, when you hear it now, that's what you'll think of. Inga from Sentimental Value, incredible performance. She's got great like facial acting.
Yes.
She emotes very well throughout the film, even without a lot
Which
of
I love.
dialogue. Yeah, I mean, it's like, as someone who doesn't do that like at all when I talk, I feel like I can really respect and admire that as like an acting vehicle, as a function. The relationship between her and her sister in the film, I think, is really what makes that film for me. And I wasn't as high on Sentimental Value as a lot of other people were. But their relationship at the core of it, I thought was like really interesting.
Agreed.
Naomi Ackie in Sorry Baby, she was also great in what's it called? Wasn't she in Mickey 17?
Yes.
Yeah, she was also phenomenal in that. She's just a really great actress. But I think, and if you've seen Sorry Baby, you know kind of how her character functions as like the bedrock for Eva Victor's character. You know, she's kind of like the emotional foundation for that character. I love their friendship. I love how supportive it is. I love the way that they work together.
When she brings home, you know, the cat, and this is like a small spoiler, but when she brings home the cat and she's like, whatever you need, you know, like that is just her delivery of that. It's so tender and gentle, but you can kind of see the sort of hesitance on her face at the same time, because now there's an animal in the house.
Yeah.
When you can juggle multiple tasks like that at the same time, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And then last but not least, Amy Madigan, Gladys from Weapons. One of the creepiest performances, I think, in modern horror films, maybe in horror films ever. You know, very few this decade, I would say, rival it. Her slow roll introduction throughout the film, especially when like the junkie dude's in the woods.
Yeah, the jump scares and
crazy
hallucinations and things like that.
The scene with her and Alex and his parents at the dinner table, and when she's like explaining things to him, creeps me out. Yeah, that's just one of the blow-away performances of the year.
And she's not like that at all. And most people aren't, but it's especially interesting when people are the pretty much polar opposite of who they play. I think that's just such a mark.
There's such depth to that character and the history of it, because we, without spoiling anything in the film, you get the sense that there's like a decades, maybe longer even, backstory there. And with her appearance and the makeup and the colors that she wears on top of the way that she acts, it's just so fascinating. But yeah, so without further ado, the winner of Best Supporting Actress.
And the Mashie goes to Amy Madigan, Weapons.
Congrats to Amy Madigan on Gladys for Best Supporting Actress. Probably, I would say, one of my favorite performances of the year. And maybe the most culturally relevant. Like how many Gladyses did you see at Halloween? I feel like Comic-Cons for a long time we're going to see a lot of Gladys, and Sinners has a lot. Like Smoke and Stack are both very visually identifiable, but it seems that Gladys is like the Margot Robbie Harley Quinn, or like Pennywise, or like one of those characters that is like going to stick around.
I hope so because it ties the whole movie together. It just adds another layer or two to the creepiness factor of Weapons. It's phenomenal.
Congrats to the winners of the Best Supporting Actor and Actress category. Now here at Just MASH, we've been around for a long time. We first started the Just MASH podcast in January of 2017. And we started the very first Just MASH Film Awards in the year 2018, looking back at the year of 2017 in film. Here's a retrospective of the very first Just MASH Film Awards.
Year after year during award season, Just MASH felt the all-too-common frustrations of films ignored and performances overlooked. From Jesse Plemons in The Master to Jesse Plemons in Begonia, our hosts Josh and Matthew shared these woes and longed for an award show to highlight the films that spoke to them each year. So what did they do? They made their own. What began as a top 10 movies of 2016 turned into a full-fledged award show for the movies of 2017, a year that will live in the history books. Films like Phantom Thread, Lady Bird, Good Time, and Logan were praised by the duo for their phenomenal theater experiences. They discussed some unforgettable performances from Margot Robbie, Daniel Kaluuya, and Robert Pattinson. Of course, the completely life-changing film Blade Runner 2049 took home the awards for cinematography and Best Picture. This film was a monumental cinematic achievement that left our hosts quite literally speechless upon leaving the theater. Denis Villeneuve cemented himself as a Just Smash favorite. The movies of 2017 kicked off a tradition that we hope you'll follow along for as we look back at 2025 and for many years to come.
Gotta love self-referential history. Now we'll throw it back to Josh and Matthew for a look at the best music of the year.
Now we're getting into the music. So here at the Just Smash Film Awards, we do best score, and then now we do best needle drop or best use of a song. Back in the day, we used to do best soundtrack, and that was kind of like best curated, like Guardians of the Galaxy, the way that they use licensed music. That was kind of what that category was for. But we decided to kind of focus in more on individual songs and how they're used, and then let the best score kind of speak for like the music created for the film. So first off, we're going to do best score.
And the nominees for best score: Sinners. Is This Thing On? The Mastermind. One Battle After Another. Superman.
Score is interesting. It's one of those things that you could argue a good score is one you don't notice, one that doesn't take away from what's happening on screen. But you could also argue that it's like one of the more important things about a film, especially like in the dialogue-less scenes. The score is really the thing that's like taking you by the hand and showing you what emotions you're supposed to be feeling. To start with, Sinners, like what a score that has.
Generational. I must have listened to that whole album soundtrack back to back 20, 30 times over the course of just driving to work after that came out. And music has always been important to us specifically. We always, even though our music tastes differ, the use of music over these cinematic moments, I think, is just one of the coolest things that you can do in art.
Yeah,
mashing those two things together.
The Mastermind is the score for The Mastermind is this really kinetic, drums heavy jazz soundtrack. It's kind of like Whiplash's is in some ways, but it's really energetic, and it's interesting because the pacing of The Mastermind is not energetic whatsoever, and the movie really is kind of polarizing, especially in terms of the pace, but the soundtrack is just so unique to what it's attempting to do. I think a heist film with like a upbeat, jazzy, quick pace changing score is a really interesting thing. Superman score, one of the best superhero movie scores of all time, I think. It really kind of, a lot of times when you're doing Batman or Superman or Spider-Man, these characters that have character defining iconic scores and themes that were created in the 70s and 80s and early 2000s. Anytime you try and redo those characters, you're either fighting uphill to do something new, or you just kind of lay down and say, I'm going to do the Danny Elfman thing again, or like, Man of Steel like has the new Hans Zimmer. So I think Superman had a unique challenge in that, but I think it really kind of exceeded expectations.
It fits the emotional core of the movie very well.
Mm-hmm.
Very hopeful and energetic.
One Battle After Another, just insane score. The whole movie, the movie's long, but it doesn't ever feel long, and I think part of that is because of the music that accompanies it. And then Is This Thing On, which is another movie kind of like Life of Chuck. Didn't really get the attention it should have. Like we loved it, but I love the intensity of the score, especially in the stand-up scenes. The way it's shot. And the music really makes you feel like you're on stage with him. You can feel your heartbeat in the score, which I really liked a lot. Yeah. Great. So the winner for the Just Smash Film Award for Best Score.
And the Mashie goes to Sinners.
Sinners is the winner. And, well, I didn't mean that to rhyme, but Sinner is victorious. Sinners is victorious. This is why they don't pay us.
I love those moments. Yeah,
It'll get
it's
edited
completely
out.
organic. No, I mean Sinners. What a phenomenal movie, and the music. Obviously, was so important to the story itself and the plot.
Mhm.
Which and they did so well. Ludwig Göransson, is that who
Yeah.
did the score primarily?
Think
He's
so,
a
yeah.
genius. I love that kind of music too, and it fit like a glove.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yeah, pretty much the exact music that you want playing for a lot of those scenes, and it just upped the intensity of it and the emotional stakes of it just to such an insane degree. So congrats to Sinners for winning Best Score. Now the nominees for Best Needle Drop.
And the nominees for Best Needle Drop: Beware of Darkness, Weapons; Rocky Road to Dublin, Sinners; Dirty Work, One Battle After Another; I Lied to You, Sinners; Punk Rocker, Superman.
This is a stacked category.
This is a stacked category. Dirty Work by Steely Dan and One Battle After Another. One of my favorite songs of all time. One of my most listened to songs of last year, partially because of this movie. I think it sets the tone for this movie so well, especially the way that it's used within the film towards the beginning of it. Beware of Darkness. First of all, major Beatles fan, you never hear Beatles music in movies, partially because it's so expensive, but you also just never hear the solo acts. I mean, I couldn't tell you last time I heard a George Harrison song in a film. So when Weapons kicks off, the first kid runs out of their house, and Beware of Darkness, which is like a deeper cut. I mean, it's in All Things Must Pass, which is George Harrison's finest album. But to hear a song that you just don't hear on the radio kick in, I instantly got chills and was like, okay, so I'm in on this movie. One of my favorite scenes of the year.
Incredible.
Punk Rocker at the end of Superman. I mean, that's what a way to end that movie, right? The
And
emotional
especially
stakes.
the callbacks to punk rock specifically as sort of rebellious but hopeful like theme. I think that's it was incredible. It was
And
so good.
to see spoilers for Superman to a degree. Who hasn't seen Superman though? But to see how he is at the beginning of the film when he's injured and all the robots are helping him and he's watching the Bradley Cooper video on repeat, and then juxtapose that with the ending where he's listening, like punk rockers playing, and it's showing him as a kid with his parents.
Mhm.
What a great emotional wraparound that is for that film. Rocky Road to Dublin. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, right?
No, and I've listened to a few different versions of this. Obviously, it's an Irish folk song that's been around for a long time,
Mhm.
but he brought such a sinister vibe
Yeah.
to the whole thing that was just
Yeah.
I don't know that anyone has ever done that before.
Yeah, it's got this like evil undertone to it. And that's
Yeah.
something interesting about music, how you can recontextualize it the way that it's used within scenes like this. You
Exactly.
could take people do it all the time, but you take like a normal happy upbeat song and then you cover it and it's really like slow and heavier, and you put it over a horror movie trailer and it's like instantly recontextualized. This movie does that with that song. I mean, not that way, but it recontextualizes it, and within the context of the movie, character motivation wise, gives it kind of this other undertone to it. And then I Lied to You, also from Sinners. Phenomenal song, phenomenal use of it. We'll get more into that with best scene later on down the road, but what a phenomenal grouping of songs. And there was other ones that we
Tough
talked
category.
about to nominate too.
Yes.
There's a lot of good stuff. Begonia has a great one with Green Day. What song is that one?
I think it's Basket Case.
Basket Case.
If I remember correctly, yeah.
Blue Moon, the Linklater film. They really have an interesting use of it for that. Under Pressure, Queen and David Bowie at the end of Is This Thing On. Great year for movies and music going hand in hand together. So the winner for Best Needle Drop.
And the Mashie goes to Beware of Darkness, Weapons.
Beware of Darkness, George Harrison. I mean, Weapons does a lot of things great. I think visually, cinematically is kind of where it's at its best. The visuals of those kids running with that song playing in the line, like "Watch Out," just maybe the scene that has stuck with me most from this year. And I wasn't even that huge on Weapons. I liked Weapons, don't get me wrong, but to me, that is like the silver lining of that movie.
Yeah, it's a great lesson for one, use more Beatles music, two, use more
Please.
George Harrison music, and
Please.
three, use songs that really, really match the identity of the scene that you're trying to go for.
Yes.
They
It can
go
do so much.
they go hand in hand, and again, like that is crucial to me, the music and how I remember something.
Yeah.
Like that's everything.
I agree. Most of my favorite movies are my favorite because of the way they used a certain song, or just songs throughout it.
Exactly.
I love a good song. 2025 has been a great year for music, but it's also been a great year for horror. Here at Just Match Productions, we love horror movies. Some of our favorite horror movies of all time are The Thing and The Shining and American Werewolf in London and Hereditary. 2025 has been a pretty great year for horror, so let's take a look back at this year in horror.
Nothing brings us more excitement than a phenomenal horror movie experience here at Just Mash. 2025 saw several fantastic entries, some of which you'll hear more about tonight. Let's take a look at some of the standout horror flicks for 2025. Final Destination Bloodlines gave us all premonitions, with the newest franchise entry since 2011, a movie that deepened the lore of the universe while giving us all the elements that we fans love to see. And do be careful at your next MRI appointments, folks. Companion highlighted a very real-world possibility with some knockout performances from Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid. This movie balances some heavy topics with frequent breaks for humor that goes for both a wince and a laugh in the same breath. Another genre-bending masterpiece in Sinners produced some of the freshest cinematic moments while using one of history's oldest horrors, vampires. A film that is as layered as it is genuine. Fly, don't run, if you haven't gifted yourself this experience yet. The Long Walk is one of several Stephen King adaptations that we saw in 2025, and we are here for it. The brutal violence juxtaposed with the organic brotherhood throughout the course of the story certainly leaves its mark, and yes, I do mean Hamill. Weapons created one of the creepiest town-wide atmospheres ever put to screen. A movie that is perfectly cast, we follow a mystery as it unravels into some dark places, both metaphorically and literally. This film has some of the most pure horror shown in theaters last year. Back to you, gentlemen.
Something especially important to the horror genre is visual effects. Now, before we go into the nominations for Best Visual Effects in 2025, here at Just Match Productions, we've put a lot of effort into honing our visual effects skills, and this is a great example of that. Incredible, right? Take it away, boys.
The nominees for Best Visual Effects: Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, a Minecraft movie, Predator: Badlands, Thunderbolts, Superman.
Visual effects, something that has become ever more increasingly important as we've gone on in technology with filmmaking. Visual effects is tricky because when it looks good, you don't realize it.
Exactly.
The best visual effects you don't know are visual effects, and then other times it sticks out like a sore thumb. But you take something like Mission Impossible. That is an example of the best visual effects you don't notice because so much of that movie just looks real. You just think Tom Cruise is doing that. And to be honest with you, I'm sure he is for like a good amount of it, but I can't tell you what he did or didn't do. I don't know.
Very seamless.
Thinking specifically in the air scenes, the plane, the submarine, a lot of the crazy intense stuff that happens. But the opposite end of that spectrum, a Minecraft movie, where the whole world is going to be computer generated and animated. And it's one of the few instances where that happens, but it's supposed to look that way.
Yeah.
I could see a lot of people thinking it looks bad, but what they mean is that the art direction looks bad. Like the artistic style of it looks bad. But the CG itself does not.
The execution,
That's how it's supposed to look. It just, and as, to experienced Minecraft players.
Oh, yeah.
It's what we wanted.
Huge. Hours and hours. But and the artistic style, like informing, how they produce the the effects and the CGI in the world and all the creatures in it, I think is so interesting because now they have such a unique identity, especially when you're comparing it to the game, which obviously everything came from. It's
Right.
fascinating to see where things end up and how they get executed, and it was really cool to watch on the screen.
Yeah. And you gave Minecraft movie 5 stars, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah, it's in my 4 recent favorites on Letterboxd. So
I,
go check that out.
I believe it. Thunderbolts, one of Marvel's best movies in like 5 or
Oh
6
wow,
years,
yeah,
probably.
a long time.
I love the visual identity of the Void, both the scenes inside the Void, how the Void's powers operate, but just how the Void looks, the eyes, the pupils, the way that they look.
Yeah,
Insane to me. I think it looks so sick. But on top of that, just the general like superpower shit. We're fighting or like whatever the fuck. Like I think
Lucky
it
on
looks great.
the motorcycle in the desert,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
and when they fight the Sentry as the Sentry, I love that fight, and I love the CGI within the fight. I think it's like one of the few Marvel movies that looks good. And Marvel they've never had a Superman before. All of the characters that have been in Marvel have been fallible. They have been able to injure. You throw a punch, they have to move, right? So that
Yeah.
is a type of CG in terms of designing movements. But when you have a Superman where you punch and you're moving, but he's not moving, and he's catching people in the air and like fucking dodging shit or flipping or bending or whatever the fuck. Crazy different from anything else Marvel's done. And the blueprint is there with DC, but they had to make it their own. And I don't know, I really like the way it looked. Predator, Badlands, kind of the same. A mix of Mission Impossible and Minecraft, where it's gonna be this CG animated world, but it has to do the Mission Impossible thing of making it look real, and they do a phenomenal job of making it look real.
Yeah, and all the props and the different creatures that they interact with and each other and the human elements to it. It's just
Yeah,
it was
one of the
really-
most fun movies to watch visually, like to literally
100%.
watch. Like just it looks the coolest. And then Superman. You could say the same thing that I said about a lot of these movies about Superman. It feels realistic, which I think DC movies especially were kind of lacking for a long time. I love the way all the characters look in their suits and their powers. I think is really cool.
all the flight and all the Green Lantern elements I thought were
Yeah.
really well done.
The Fortress of
sharp and
Solitude.
Oh yeah,
When they fight the kaiju too, like that, thing, and the Hammer of Barovia, like all that sort of stuff. Yeah, movie looks incredible. So the winner is
And the Mashie goes to Predator Badlands.
Predator Badlands, man. I said it earlier. It was one of the most fun movies to watch, just visually. The world, the character designs, the creatures that the Predator fought in the film. Elle Fanning's character, she's like cut in half for most of the movie, and that felt and looked realistic. Another movie that I don't feel like, I'm not saying that was like a best picture or anything, but just one that didn't get talked about as much.
no, and it's a shame because it does, especially in the VFX world, it just blends all of the different parts that we have just talked about together in one, bite-sized movie. It's so good.
Yeah, absolutely. So congrats, Predator Badlands.
Now, one of the original categories we do here at the Just Smash Film Awards is Best Character. Best Character is a combination of how the character was written and how the character is portrayed. Take it away, boys.
Best Character, a Just Smash specific category. I mean, I'm sure other people do it, but this is one that we've always done. To us, it's always been a mix of the actor's portrayal and the writer crafting who that character is. So it's kind of a mix of both of those things. But character, because if there's 100 movies in a year, there's 20 to 100 movies or characters within that movie. How many characters are we looking at, right? So because of that, we nominate 10 characters. So the nominees are.
And the nominees for Best Character: Chuck, The Life of Chuck; Linda, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You; Agnes, Sorry Baby; Smoke, Sinners; Superman; Remick, Sinners; Gladys, weapons. J. Kelly. Teddy, begonia. Lockjaw, one battle after another.
Those are our 10. A lot of characters to talk about. We had narrowed it down to 34 characters, and then from there we ended up picking our 10. And I feel confident about those 10 that we picked. Just going through them one by one. Chuck, from the life of Chuck. I think one of the most special characters in movie history, because it's you. Like you are Chuck when you watch that film. It's a self-insert in a completely different way from a lot of other things. And the journey that you see that character go on. And I think you and I specifically related to it in just such a visceral way that maybe not a lot of other people did. And maybe that's why it didn't get the recognition that we felt it deserved. Also, several people playing that character. This is year where we saw an actor playing several characters. This is the inverse. This is several actors playing one character at different points.
And I could see that, you watch that movie at different parts of your life, different ages, that affecting you in different ways. I love when movies are capable of that. And this seems like that one could do that for sure.
Exactly. Linda from If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Rose Byrne. Phenomenal performance. Feels so lived in and
stressed out.
Yeah, you never see that side of parenthood.
Mm-mm.
You never see the parent that they care about their kid and they try to do the right thing for them, but they are just fucking miserable. Because everyone's afraid to admit that. People are just afraid to say things like that. So to have an entire film about it, I thought was very fascinating. And I thought Rose Byrne's approach to it was really interesting because she does things that are bad, but you never feel like she's a bad person. Because you resonate with it, and then stuff happens and things change. But for the most part, for the bulk of the movie, I at least was like, I get it, man. It's a shitty situation. I get it. I wasn't. But if you read about this woman and what she all the stuff she does, you would think, oh, what a horrible person.
I know, without seeing it and walking with her through that. Yeah.
But this was like a judgmental free zone. Up until it's kind of contextualized and you're like, oh, wait, this shit kind of sucks. But it felt fair to me. It felt like a fair representation. Agnes from Sorry Baby, maybe the most human character we've seen on film in 2025. One of my favorite performances of the year, one of my favorite characters of the year. Felt so genuine and realistic.
And I felt so she was a friend that I wanted to protect and help throughout that whole thing. And that's, a huge props to the combination of the writing and the performance there, which is what this category is about.
And I think both of those are the same person too. With Eva Victor. I think, they did both of those things.
Yeah.
Smoke from Sinners. Sinners is a tricky movie for this category specifically, partially because there's, a whole array of
so many good ones,
incredible characters. But Michael B. Jordan plays two of the best, so you kind of have to, in a way, figure out, okay, who do you resonate with more? Who do you like more? Who feels more important to, what it is. And we went with Smoke. I think his story does resonate a bit more in the movie. I think they want you to care more, maybe not care more, but they put a bit more focus on his story throughout the movie. He's definitely, next to Sammy, the emotional core of what that film is. Remick, also from Sinners. Once again, another double nominee for Sinners. A villain that you can truly understand. And like a magnetic, villain. He's obviously there's a hive mind element of what's happening. But in a way, you're also like, hey, man, Remick's kind of cool. The way, and a lot of that's Jack O'Connell's performance, but the way he carries himself.
And the way that they expand on how ancient he is throughout the movie and just what he represents, I think is so, and that sort of, under thread of oppression and where Remick comes from. I think it all ties in so beautifully.
Yeah, and something I know a theme that both of us like a lot is camaraderie, brothers in arms, the enemy and my enemy, that sort of thing. It's such a layered, nuanced issue within the film of
Yes.
oppression and who comes from where and who steps on who and whatever, and trying to, Remick uniting for his cause, but it's maybe not the right way or the right thing, or whatever it is. There's just so many layers to that character and how that drives the conflict throughout the movie. Superman, anytime you take a character with an 80-year history and you do a new take on it, even if it carries and brings things over from this take or whatever, it's always going to be difficult to make them interesting. Especially Superman, who, I mean, I don't feel this way, but a lot of people are like, oh, he's a all-powerful, alien. How am I supposed to relate to that? And it's like, well, he's actually like an immigrant boy from Kansas. How can you not relate to that? I think it's just the way it's written. But I think the way that James Gunn handles Superman, along with Cornsweet's performance of Superman, I think really made him an engaging character. And it's not really a version of Superman we've seen in a long time, at least.
And he just cares so deeply, and that is nice to see. And he cares so deeply about other people and doing the right thing. Like, that was, especially last year, was such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, needed too.
Needed.
Superhero movies. I mean, that's when the genre becomes as old as it does. You've got to find ways to shift the focus and the energy, and Superman did it in the correct way, I think. Gladys from Weapons, we talked a lot about her and what she means to the film and the intricacies about Gladys. Jay Kelly, Clooney's one of my favorite actors of all time. You can blame that on Batman and Robin from when I was like 5, and I know I'm the only one that likes that
Justified.
movie.
No, Justified completely.
Justified, great movie. Let's nominate that, actually.
Yeah,
let's go ahead. Batman for Batman and
well,
Robin.
retrospective. Yeah.
But no, Clooney. I love Jay Kelly because it was a introspective look at his career, kind of through the fictional lens of Jay Kelly, but examining what the aging movie star is. It made me very nostalgic because I grew up on a lot of Clooney, quite frankly. I mean, Batman and Robin, Up in the Air was a movie I watched a lot as a teenager. My parents would watch ER. So like Clooney was always kind of around it because I watched Batman and Robin so much. His voice kind of became the compass for right and wrong for me. Like when I would read Batman,
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
I was hearing George Clooney, so to kind of see this really emotional look at him as an old man thinking about his life and his career and his family and all this stuff, I just thought was so fascinating. But there's so many layers to the character of Jay Kelly, the way he treats other people. We saw the way that he came up as an actor and became famous and got auditions and, whatever. But you also see his father, and you see his agent, you see his kids. And I walked away from that movie thinking so much about it, and still think about it, a couple months later. Just what a performance. Teddy from Begonia, another incredible performance. Jesse Plemons is just blow away phenomenal in that movie.
And it's such a grimy existence that he's in, and that makes the comparison to this Emma Stone CEO all the more interesting, because they have such opposite lives, and they clash so directly throughout the movie that it sparks fly because of that, obviously. But it is an incredible duo,
and it's one of those movies, without spoiling it, enriched upon a rewatch, I would imagine. I haven't rewatched it myself, but just knowing how the movie unfolds, I think it's one that is completely recontextualized when you watch it again. And I think Jesse Plemons' performance specifically is kind of changed based off of that.
100%.
And then Lockjaw from One Battle After Another. I'd said earlier, him and Remick are the two best villains of the year, two of the best villains of all time. But Lockjaw's motivations are very out there, and the way that he portrays them are very out there. I think the way that he interacts with other characters specifically is so interesting and kind of unique to him.
And how differently he treats the different characters as he interacts with them is interesting too. Like all the relationships are so built out and thought out.
The power shifts with his character specifically when you see him interact with his enemies or with the people above him. It's very interesting to see the way that he shifts. Great year for characters, but who was the best?
And the Mashie goes to Remick, Sinners.
Remick is the winner. I think the best character of the year. I think the most interesting character of the year. The way he functions throughout that movie is just so fascinating to me.
And obviously, so much of Sinners is about music, and he, is drawn to it because of the music and because of Sammy, and obviously his Rocky Road to Dublin scene we've talked about a lot. That is like, what a striking visual, and what a just absolute knockout of the park that was, in casting and writing and everything.
Yeah, Jack O'Connell is a powerhouse, man. I want to see so much more. And 28 years later,
Exactly. Yeah.
he's phenomenal in that movie too. And that's a different film award for a different year. But one of my favorite dudes running right now. And yeah, what a blow away performance.
Now, one of the most important parts of the movie-going experience is the trailer. It's a specialty these days for a movie to have a good trailer, one that doesn't reveal too much, one that gets you to want to see the movie. Boys, best trailer.
As two people who go to the movie theater pretty much every week, we see most trailers, and we see most of them 4, 5, 6 times. I wasn't going to drop a 6, 7 there, so I stopped.
So close.
I know everybody was waiting
close.
for it. I know you were waiting for it. But yeah, we see most trailers all the time. So it's a unique category, right? Because for a trailer to be good, it has to make you want to see the film, but it can't tell you everything about the film. It also has to be one that you can see in the theater 5 times and not be like, okay, I'm out. I don't want to see this anymore, because that happens to us.
Quite a bit.
In movies, we get trailers washed down our throats where we're like, never, we're not watching this shit. So the nominees for best trailer.
And the nominees for best trailer are 28 Years Later. Is This Thing On? Captain America, Brave New World. Begonia. Weapons.
Now in a just world, we would show you these trailers, but YouTube would kill all of our families probably if we did that. So we will not be showing you the trailers here. But Begonia is a perfect example of what I was talking about. It interests you, but it doesn't tell you too much. It's interesting. It keeps the tone of the movie kind of close to the vest, but it also makes it feel creepy. It's one that every time we saw it made me more and more interested in it. Is This Thing On? I love the way that they introduce the plot of the film, because that's the other thing you have to consider with the trailer, right? Is like, how much do you really tell someone what the movie is about?
Yeah.
Because Sinners is one of the best movies of the year, but like we've talked about this, not a good trailer.
Not a good trailer.
It tells you everything. And then on top of that, it tells you like Stack and Haley Steinfeld's character, it tells you what happens to them. Like there's so much about, and that movie goes so deep before the vampire stuff even happens, but it about it because you've seen the trailer, right? So that's like an example of not a good trailer. Is This Thing On? I think just the way it introduces it is so fun, and it's funny. They picked the right jokes. Sometimes with comedy movies, the trailer just here's all the major jokes, and then you see them in the theater, and you're like, I've already laughed at this. What's the point of that? Weapons, super creepy trailer.
Really, really masterclass in how to send a chill down the spine if whoever's watching it, especially in the theater. When you watch horror movie trailers in the theater, it is a different experience than watching any other genre of trailer. Absolutely. And it's obviously way different than watching it at home because, and I felt this way about Long Legs too. Like when that trailer was out, and I love being scared in the theater. I think it's such a unique experience that you can't really get anywhere else. And if a trailer can deliver that to you in 2.5 minutes and want you to see the movie, I think that's huge.
Yeah, the best horror movie trailers are the ones that give you nightmares without seeing the movie. Weapons is one of those. And the way, like, anytime you use a kid for a voiceover, it's always kind of going to be creepy. The way they do it is like, oh my God, like very effective. Another horror trailer with an effective voiceover is 28 Years Later. So what is it? It's like a World War II.
Yes, it's a poem. I think Rudyard Kipling wrote it.
Oh, interesting.
But the voice, because I think it was about a British war in Africa, and I'm probably getting some of my history mixed up.
Sure.
But the recording that they used in the trailer was a voice performance that they used to prepare soldiers for psychological torture, because of the way that the poem is structured and the way that they deliver it. And I don't know who gives that voice performance on that recording. It's obviously really old, but the way that it just unsettles you, especially back then when that was sort of a new concept, like psychological warfare is a, that wasn't just dropping bombs or running at soldiers on horseback. Like there was a unique purpose behind it. I think and using that in your movie trailer, what a decision. And it's so effective. Like we're going to think about that for a long time.
Yeah, because like I didn't even really like 28 Years Later. I like the Bone Temple a lot, but I didn't like the first one 20 years later. But that trailer has stuck with me, and the imagery that plays throughout it, just phenomenal. And then Captain America: Brave New World. I've talked about it on this channel. There's a video I did about it. I like the movie. I don't love the movie. I think it's got plenty of issues. The trailer would suggest that none of that is there, and it's just super sick. Like,
yeah,
what a great first trailer that is. The editing is like, it's so sharp.
Sharp is the exact word I would use for it. I love the effects in between scenes, like the music choice that they decide to go with, and the scenes that they do use. It reminded me so much of like the potential for Marvel. Yeah. And even there were two different trailers that I think were exceptional, but with, like very close to each other. But they both felt like a movie outside of Marvel. Just like they weren't following anything. It was just a political thriller,
right?
Sort of in the vein of Jason Bourne or whatever the case.
Right. Yeah.
Like it was so unique and completely different from other Marvel trailers too, which is why it stood out.
Yeah, because like Thunderbolt, it wasn't the first trailer, but it was when the marketing started to lean heavy into like, we have an A24 director. Like that trailer, I think it was the second Thunderbolt trailer. It was a really good trailer.
That's true.
I think Marvel has kind of shifted maybe their focus on what they want their trailers to be, because I think at this point they have to understand we're going. It doesn't matter what it's called, doesn't matter who's in it, doesn't matter what we're going. It just is what it is. So I think because of that, there's some really unique marketing things that you can do. I mean, we're 3 months away from the next Spider-Man movie, and we don't have a trailer.
Yeah,
the trailer if you know what to search on Twitter, but like we don't have an official, legal way to watch a trailer. But I like that. I dig that. I would much prefer them be a bit more experimental with it.
Yeah.
With that being said, winner of Best Trailer.
And the Mashie goes to Captain America: Brave New World.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same, about it as we did when we saw that trailer almost a year ago now, probably. Yeah. Just what a phenomenal trailer.
Sometimes you go back and watch old trailers like for Infinity War and Endgame on there, and you look at the comments that are like, because a lot of them are new. Like, I'm coming back to watch this after this. Yeah. And that's when I could see having legs because of how good it is.
Here from 2028.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's still here?
Yeah.
Great trailer.
Now, there's a lot of discourse pretty much all the time about movies and animated movies. Are they for kids? Is it a genre? Well, here at Just Mash, we say that animated movies are for everyone, and it's not a genre of movies. It's a medium in itself. These are the best animated films of 2025.
Best animated film category, near and dear to our hearts on the Just Mash Productions channel. We love animated films. We love watching them. Love talking about them. They don't get enough praise. This was a good year for animated films. So
it was a good variety.
Yeah. The nominees for Best Animated Film.
And the nominees for Best Animated Film: Arco, Lost in Starlight, Neja 2, Zootopia 2, K-pop Demon Hunters.
What a selection. What a selection of films that is. Zootopia 2. Yeah, that's actually true. We kind of spread around the globe for these. Zootopia 2 we saw in theaters. it was either December or January. I don't remember when exactly when we saw it. But it was a lot of fun, and it's so different from the first film. And the first film is like one of the greatest, animated movies. I love the first Zootopia. It's so clever the way it's written. This one's not as good, but it's still good. It's still fun. It's atmospheric. It has a good message behind it. The
Great world
animation,
building.
yeah. It's always interesting when you take an adult concept like buddy cop, kind of thing, and okay, how do we put it through the lens of kids movie?
Yeah.
They do it in a really interesting way, in a way that makes sense too, and the way that they handle like societal norms or like race relations, like within this. It's so interesting, the universe that they built, 10 years ago at this point, and whatever the sequel is.
That's crazy.
2016, right? Ain't that crazy?
Ouch.
But yeah, I like Zootopia too a lot. K-pop Demon Hunters. What a phenomenal movie. I mean, first of all, the animation is so good. It looks amazing.
It's so fresh.
Yeah, it's so fluid. Everything about it is just so visually appealing, and like especially the action stuff.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not a K-pop guy. Like that's not my kind of music. I really have no draw to that sort of thing. So for me, it was more, oh, this is a movie people are saying is good, so I will give it a shot. And then walking away from it being like, oh my God, like what a great movie, what a good time that movie is.
Yeah, and the trio Huntrix, like I just love their interactions with each other. I think those are so fun. Like trio friend groups are some of the most fun, like movie elements or movie tropes or whatever you want to call it. Like they're just, there's such an opportunity there to have conflict between two of them or whatever the case may be, and they do that perfectly here.
Yeah, and the world is so fascinating. I love the lore of the characters and like what the demon hunters are and that sort of stuff.
They waste no time getting to it too, right in the beginning. Just this is what's going on.
Yeah, and this is a movie that, I mean, ultimately it captured the world culturally. I mean that I can't think of what the music group within the film is called, but I mean they've had several songs chart, and be like these massive songs.
Yeah,
one of the few movies that showed Netflix their ass on the theatrical thing and convinced Netflix to like actually give it a theatrical, release a little bit after it came out because so many people loved it and wanted to go see it. Yeah, what a phenomenal movie. Lost in Starlight, really great film, looks amazing. I love the sci-fi elements of it, the romance elements of it too. A lot of times, and I don't know, there's plenty of movies, I guess, but to me, most of the animated movies actually don't have that romance element to it. They don't have those kind of undercurrents. And this film, it kind of reminds me of Interstellar in some ways, the way that it touches on family and the adventure and the sci-fi element of it, because there's a lot of similarities between them. Arco, I think it's a French film. I'm not sure. I watched the English dub that has, I think it's Natalie Portman, Will Ferrell, Mark Ruffalo. Like it's got a crazy cast.
I love when movies do that. I get they really heavy hitters for the English voice cast. I think that's so fun.
Studio Ghibli does it a lot.
Yeah,
I mean pretty much with every one of theirs, they get like the best people. The animation's good. I love the futuristic sci-fi elements of it. Like it's about a family that has the ability to travel through time. And like, let's say this takes place in like 3500 and the kid's not ready to time travel yet, but he does it behind the parents' back anyway, messes up and gets sent back in time, but still in our future. So like the 2500, which is like really interesting and a subversion of like getting thrust back in time.
Yeah.
Because he gets thrown back in time from before his technological advancements and what he's used to, but it's still our future. So they get to play with what being lost in time looks like. They get to decide on that, which I thought was really
that's so fun.
The ending is like one of the most unexpected gut punches of the year. I was not expecting it when it happened, but that's, spoiler free here and all that. And then Neja 2, which, I remember we started seeing stuff about Neja 2 in like October, November, like about how it's highest grossing animated movie of all time, highest grossing, movie in a single market of all time. And I was like, what is this movie? and we didn't really,
especially as a sequel.
yeah, as a sequel, because the first film came out in 2019, and like I had never heard of it, and finally decided to watch it because I knew we were doing this, and I was like, the first movie's good, it's okay, and then I watched the second one, and I was like, holy shit, that's one of the greatest animated films of all time.
It's a feat. It's a
It
feat.
truly is. It's like if The Dark Knight were an animated kids movie, except just as badass, just as complex, just as cool, like everything about it. Yeah,
Emotional.
blow away. So
Yeah.
the winner for best animated film.
And the Mashie goes to Neja 2.
To me, this was like head and shoulders above most movies that came out this year, animated or not. Neja 2, I really would encourage everybody to go out and watch it.
Yeah, the animation is stunning. I feel like I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
They went all out for it. It's a longer movie for an animated film, but it does not waste any of that time. None of it is a slog. It's very sharp. It's very snappy. I love the action sequences, and I think the last 45 minutes is like the final fight scene where they have to sort of build and build and build and then complete all that resolution. But I love the transformations that the characters go through and the themes that they touch on, and like the family elements, I think are all just so good. Chef's kiss.
Yeah. It really is the feat, especially like animation wise. It's so colorful. The universe feels so like a children's storybook, but also like we're in it. The recurring characters, the villains. I love the character dynamics and shifts and the way that those things change. Of course, there's a lot of cultural context that we're missing just because we don't know, the backstory of Chinese gods and literature and like all this stuff. But I think that the movie relays that information in a digestible way, for
sure.
The voice acting is phenomenal. Yeah, what a movie, man! Everybody should watch Neja 2 if you haven't seen it.
Now, the next awards to give out are the Writing Awards for Best Original Screenplay and Best Adapted Screenplay. And here at Just Mash, both Josh and Matthew are writers. This is a category very near and dear to our hearts. And because of that, we got AI to write the next segment. Just kidding, because we're not fucking stupid, and we use our brains. Take it away, boys.
The Screenplay Awards, my favorite category every year outside of Best Picture. Two writers here, people that love to write, love to read scripts. We'll start with Best Adapted Screenplay.
And the nominees for Best Adapted Screenplay are The Life of Chuck, Begonia, Wake Up Dead Man, Hamnet, One Battle After Another.
What a stacked category this is. I mean,
huge.
That's 5 heavy hitters right there.
Yeah.
Life of Chuck. It's a Stephen King. Would it be a novella or is it a short story?
Yes, I think it's considered a novella. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
The story of it, I haven't read it, but like the actual outline of just what it is. And I understand that they kept a lot of the actual dialogue of the book, and the voiceover especially that Nick Offerman does, I think comes right from the book.
Which is the way to do it, like especially with Stephen King. Like he's
especially with this,
he's obviously the king for a reason.
The length of this book or novella, like with what it is, you don't need to like change it. You know what I mean? I don't feel like you need to.
For sure.
Begonia, which I know the film is a remake from, I think, a Korean film. I don't remember what that one's called. And I haven't seen that film. I would like to, because I've heard it's different from Begonia in the way that it handles the plot of it. It's really a what is it? Force and a movable object, unstoppable force and movable object with Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone's characters. It's like
that's apt.
Yeah, it's like the way that they kind of clash intellectually, physically throughout the film. I just think philosophically, it's such an interesting back and forth with the way that the film handles that.
It's almost like a whodunit too.
In a way, yeah. They thread the mystery throughout, even until the mystery is answered. You're still like, what the fuck? Hamnet, the emotional powerhouse script of the year. I think it's it's an adaptation of a book called Hamnet, I think, and it was a very close adaptation of it too. It's not what you would have expected from like a William Shakespeare biopic, because how you can't really do a biopic of someone that old.
I know,
You know
it's
what I mean?
tough.
Like so much has been lost and altered and mythologized, and that's just not how it is. But taking what Shakespeare represents to us culturally and narrowing that down to an emotion and how that emotional, wheel works within a human being, mixing that with the arts, mixing that with family, mixing that with, longing and love and desire and all this other stuff.
That's the only way to do it. And they killed it.
Yeah. One of the best scripts really ever. Wake Up Dead Man. I mean, Ryan Johnson's writing, especially with the Knives Out stuff, he crafts a mystery like no other at this point. It's kind of his genre to mess around in. It's also interesting, like finding a way to make Benoit Blanc interesting within different contexts, within different cultures, within different characters, I think is something that I would probably struggle with. He does a really
unique
phenomenal
challenge
job of it. The cast is always interesting for those films. The setting is always different. Of course, we related especially to, Catholic upbringing and what it is to be within the church and like that sort of stuff. Also, like, have sentimental attachment to the movie because we saw it the day after Thanksgiving and it was like a really fun day. And, that always like does it for me. Like that'll
100%.
always take films a step up. And then One Battle After Another. It's adaptation of a Thomas Pynchon novel. I don't remember what the novel is called.
I think it's Vineland. From
like
what I could tell, it might be the loosest adaptation of the total 5 examples here. But it sounds like he captured the themes very well of what the original novel was trying to do. And I think it was a different time period. Like they might have been protesting the Vietnam War in that movie.
Okay.
So it was a slightly different era. But I think that's what the strength is in the screenwriting, is being able to take that and say, okay, what's relevant to us right now in this moment? What can I speak to now with these themes and with this story?
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of the opposite of what we were saying of Chuck, where something that takes a work and then flips it on its head and changes a bunch of stuff, but is still able to keep the resonating themes, the super interesting. So best adapted screenplay.
And the Mashie goes to The Life of Chuck.
Life of Chuck. It's a movie that blew us away when we first saw it, and we really had a transformative experience watching it. And so much of that comes down to the format of the film, the 3-act structure, and the dialogue. This was a tough category. You could pick any one of these films realistically, and you're going to get something different from every one of these films too. But Life of Chuck to me was like the emotional standout of what this is.
I agree exactly. Yeah, it's hard to not feel an attachment to it, and it's hard to not go with the attachment for the win.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Okay, now we will do best original screenplay.
OG,
the OG award. Different sort of thing from adapted. I think writing is just such a complex thing in and of itself. But to kind of do original screenplay, I think is always interesting. I couldn't ever see myself adapt something. I think it would be an interesting challenge. But best original screenplay.
The nominees for best original screenplay: Sorry Baby, Sinners, Is This Thing On, J. Kelly, Weapons.
Another strong group. This has been a phenomenal year for scripts and screenplays. Weapons. Horror movies always have their own advantages and disadvantages, but the strength usually is never in the screenplay. But this feels like one of those that it actually is.
Agreed. And I like I know that when we first got out of it, I think the way that they structure how we follow the different characters at different times can be it was a little bit controversial. I think I look back on that pretty fondly because of how they were able to unfold new information. I think the challenge there is, how do you not show the same thing a bunch of different times? And I
Yeah.
think they kept you on your toes just enough to make that work. And
Yeah.
that sort of blueprint for that story, I think, is it just lends to it being such a unique experience, especially in the horror genre.
They edge it along for the payoff that you get, which I think is really interesting. I also think like some of the subtext or subliminal stuff, like especially within the dream sequences. Zach Kreger is his name, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it's for sure his last name. Yeah,
I think he's even. People have asked him, "What does this mean?" And he's like, "I don't know."
Yeah,
he's just like, it felt right when I was writing it, and I don't know what it means, but it felt like it was the correct thing to put down. And I think that's such an interesting way to let the story move through the pen, without kind of controlling what it is or what it's supposed to be. It's going to be fluctuating results, of course, but I do think it works for this film. Jay Kelly, I'm a big Baumbach guy, big fan of his stuff and his writing specifically. And I just thought Jay Kelly was such a fascinating deconstruction of the movie star and the movie industry and agents and Hollywood and the parts of yourself that you give up to play somebody else. I think is really fascinating. Yeah. And I think this movie kind of tore that stuff apart in a really interesting way, but doing it like it's not George Clooney, but it is Clooney. I think if you had just picked, I don't want to say some random guy, but just like if you had just picked an actor that didn't have as much credibility with the craft or stake in the audience's mind space like Clooney does, if it was just an actor, it doesn't mean as much. But you're able to use the stock that George Clooney has in all of our hearts, and that way you can tell the story in a meaningful way.
It's a one of one. Like there's no other movie like it out there.
Yeah. Is this thing on funniest movie of the year while also still having? I mean, we don't get a lot of comedies, so
no, unfortunately,
no funniest movie of the
yeah.
year. But it's funny in a way that's not trying to. Oh, we're constructing a bit.
Yeah,
like Naked Gun was funny, but that's funny in like a scientifically we're constructing like a scenario where we can do wordplay with this and this and this gag happens.
This is funny in the way that life is just funny as it unfolds in front of you.
Exactly.
Accidentally.
Like I know when I'm writing humor, I try not to write jokes. I try to just write situational humor. This is funny because this happens this way. And I feel like this film, kind of does that in a really fun way. On top of that, Laura Dern is charming. Will Arnett's one of the funniest dudes.
So good.
Bradley Cooper in this movie is like a sleeper hit for like funniest character of the year. Balls is his name, which gives you like plus 10, funny
huge,
modifier
huge in the charts. Yeah.
Sinners. I mean, one of the most complex scripts of the year while also being digestible for like a blockbuster audience. Love the characters, love the character dynamics. We talked earlier just about the intricacies of the nuance of the oppression aspect of the film and what that means to different groups of people and how they interact with each other, especially regionally and also like timeline wise, because it plays with that in a few different ways. One of the most creative movies I feel like we've seen in a very long time. Sorry, Baby. One of the most genuine, realistic portrayals of, I don't want to spoil anything, but what it is. So human, so tragic, but funny and sad. And, it's magnetic in the way that it disarms you with humor and then attacks with like the biting emotional stuff, but then kind of comforts with humor as well. And it's no one's no one's a finished product, and that's kind of a large part of it. And you're always you're a sum of your experiences and you're going to carry everything with you, but it's how you do it, that sort of stuff. And What a script. So the winner for Best Original Screenplay.
And the Mashie goes to Sorry Baby.
Yeah, I think it's a phenomenal script. Blew me away when I watched it.
More people need to see it. More people need to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's just, like I said earlier, I just wanted to be friends.
Yeah.
I guess the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, and to just be in that world. And yeah, what a feat. It was so
I
good.
was, not to speak of a lesser award show, but I was shocked that this movie didn't get any nominations at the Oscars. I was floored by that. And if you were going to do
like that,
any of them, it would have been screenplay. Like, how could you not nominate it? I don't know.
insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Great script, great characters, great emotional beats, great music, everything about it. I love the way it's done.
Another category that is unique to Just Mash is Best Scene. For this category, we have nominated up to 15 scenes because there's just too many to pick from.
Best Scene, that's another Just Mash specific category. Similar to Best Character, we kind of break the mold for nominations. Years past, we've done 10 nominees for Best Scene. So many incredible scenes this year that we just had to do 15 because we couldn't narrow it down.
And the nominees for Best Scene are Unexpected Reunion. Is This Thing On? Tribute to Jay Kelly. Jay Kelly, For Me Father. Wake Up Dead Man. I Lied to You. Sinners. Hamlet. Hamnet. Street Warfare. Eddington. The Hills Have Drive. One Battle After Another. Stargazing. The Life of Chuck. Phone Footage. The Voice of Hindrajab. I Contain Multitudes. The Life of Chuck. The Ending. Begonia. Submarine Odyssey. Mission Impossible. The Final Reckoning. Rocky Road to Dublin. Sinners. Attic. The Life of Chuck. Assault. Sorry Baby.
First one, Laura Dern attends the stand-up show and Is This Thing On? I was so nervous during this scene in the film, and it's like, especially compared to other stuff, so low stakes, but the personal stakes are like through the roof.
And I love how they
love
set
it.
it up. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, oh no, this is heading where I think it's heading. This is going to be awful for everyone involved.
Yeah, it's best scene in the movie and acted so excellently. And I know that the movie's based off a true story, a real comedian, but like that happened to him, like that specific scene, which I think is really interesting.
That's crazy.
The Hills Have Drive is what I titled the scene from One Battle After Another.
Incredible.
Just the hilly, the climax of the film. So intense, so emotional. Had no clue what was coming after every, downswing. Had no idea where it was going, what was going to happen. Some of the
Perfect
most
climax.
intense, moments of the year. What a scene. We have the phone prayer and Wake Up Dead Man. Josh O'Connell gives one of the best performances in a long time. He's talking on the phone with a receptionist, and she's asking him to pray for her. It brings the film to such a halt, pacing wise, but for a really important emotional beat that like draws you into his character.
It really captures
holds
like
it there.
what he's about and what he, why he's doing the job.
Yeah. And you need it because it's a mystery ultimately, but you need something to kind of bring you home with his character. So you're like, okay, yeah, this is our guy. Like this is the
100%.
one that we're supposed to like be on the same page as. The phone footage and the voice of Hindrajab. The whole movie is like crazy and intense and sad and just fucked up, and it's this encapsulation of like the horrible state of the world that we're in right now. And it's a unique movie, the way it's structured and acted and the way that it flows between like real footage and real audio and like fictionalized, dramatized version of it. But the scene where we're watching the actual footage on the phone, while they're acting it out, floored me when I watched it. It was devastating.
Yeah, devastating is the only word to describe that movie, and everyone should see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hamlet and Hamnet, the ending of Hamnet, the big stage performance, and Jesse Buckley and the crowd.
Oh, the hands coming out, and
oh my God, visually, like one of the best constructed images of the year, multiple times in that scene. Honestly, that scene can be invigorating and frustrating, kind of back and forth with the way that it plays out in Jessie Buckley's character and her performance and her approach to it. It's just so fascinating, but it's such a rich emotional climax that film earns. Honestly,
it does.
It takes its time to get there, but it's such a phenomenal payoff. The ending of Begonia. Now, we don't want to spoil anything about Begonia, but the climax, the narrative explosion, and everything that follows. The cinematography is great for that stuff, but the gut punch of that ending and the way that it's done and the music, one of my favorite endings in a long time.
And the sense of confusion throughout that whole thing is just, it adds to that experience.
Yeah. The tribute to Jay Kelly at the end of Jay Kelly, once again, no spoilers, but the tour of his career, essentially. And once again, kind of doing it with Clooney as your vehicle for that kind of emotional baggage. It really made me emotional, and it made me think about, like, my history watching Clooney movies and just how the media that you watch impacts your life. Obviously for his character, it's different because that was his life. And the final line that he says, when he like gives it to the camera, it was like, oh my God, it made me cry. I was like,
yeah, it's everything.
I was also like like I was in on that movie. The street warfare scene in Eddington. After the explosion and, the other stuff, Joaquin running through the streets, battling with weapons. What an insane, unexpected avenue that film turns down. Wasn't expecting it to get there, but I was glued in, when it happened. Had no clue where it was going.
And Joaquin just makes that, man, like his desperation and his, like, he's a machine. He just gets up and he keeps going no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And
I love the way it's shot too. It feels so real. Just insane. The submarine scene, Mission Impossible. Those movies are like the best action movies of all time. I'm convinced of that. 3 of those would probably be in the top 10, greatest action movies ever.
And the whole time I'm like, how did they shoot this?
Yeah.
Every 10 seconds in my head, I'm like, I don't know how they did this.
Yeah.
That's Tom Cruise. That's how.
Underwater stuff always creeps me out because as a kid, I had a nightmare about Kingdom Hearts and The Little Mermaid. So ever since then, I've always been like...
So now you have thalassophobia because of it.
Yes, literally. I don't close my eyes on the shower because it like fucks with me. And watching him in the submarine, I was like, I'm going to have a panic attack.
Yeah, that's horrifying.
I was like, I can't do this. Ursula from The Little Mermaid is going to come attack him. But no, I mean, truly a feat of filmmaking and the human condition to be able to, do that shit.
And to persevere, yeah.
Rocky Road to Dublin. What else can be said about that scene and the way that it was shot and the music and how exciting it is? Just a great moment of the film. I Lied to You, also from Sinners, where the bar burns down and this mix of culture and timeline all at the heart of this song and the expression of everyone dancing to it. One of the coolest things ever.
Truly a 5-star scene.
And I don't see that maybe, but I've seen people complain about it. Like, oh, I don't get it. I'm like, how do you not get it? Even if in this, okay, even if you don't literally get it, like you don't understand how the stuff that's happening in the scene is possible in terms of the way it plays with like time and people from different eras. How you don't get the emotional core of it and the unity of music
Yeah.
and expression. I'm just like, how can you not? I just think it taps into the core of who we are as people in such a specific way. Just one of the greatest scenes. The assault scene in Sorry Baby feels weird to say that it's like to like talk positively about the scenario, but the way that the scene is shot for ultimate effectiveness, the cinematography of the scene, the way that it progresses and the house and the weather, like the night into the day, the way that the driving away is shot, one of the most emotionally effective scenes of the year. Stargazing and the Life of Chuck, the end of Act 1, essentially. No spoilers for Life of Chuck. You just got to go watch it. But everyone can relate to the feeling of the world closing in on you emotionally. This movie takes that a step further.
It does.
But it does it in a way where I was like, oh, wow. So that's it. That's the end of everything. And that's just Act 1 of the movie.
And the lead up to that, like, just adds so much to those few moments that the scene really captures. Because the scene, this scene itself is not that long, but what it represents and what came before it, like it's the perfect bow on the first act of Life of Chuck.
Yeah, and the performances by Chiwetel Ejiofor and Karen Gillan especially, I mean, they're really what makes that scene.
100%.
I Contain Multitudes from the Life of Chuck. We talked about that earlier with Kate Siegel's performance specifically. But that scene, it makes me emotional thinking about it, and her just delivery of those lines. I just think it's so effective.
Same.
And then the attic scene in the Life of Chuck at the end of the film, just a payoff to something that had been set up throughout with what's in the attic. What did Mark Hamill's character see? It pays off the first act of the film too, which feels very disconnected from the film until you get to the third act, and then it all kind of is like, oh fuck,
makes so much sense.
Yeah, what a phenomenal year for specific scenes.
So many good scenes.
Let's find out what the best one was.
And the Mashie goes to I Lied to You, Sinners.
While there are all of these incredible scenes, I genuinely think if I had to sit down and make a top 50 movie scenes of all time, I think I Lied to You from Sinners is in that top 50.
It's got to be.
It has to be. I mean, the
and
filmmaking of it, the way I watched the way they filmed it the other day, which I thought was really cool. They had to there was nanoseconds because they're dealing with something, actively on fire. People have to be in the right position and the camera has to move this way. And the way that Jack O'Connell and the two that he was with had to kind of skirt around the camera and get into character within a second. It was really cool. But the music, the acting, everything about it.
Yeah, I'll never forget that feeling. And this is a small spoiler when the electric guitar comes in. From the side and you hear it oh my god, it's just not to make a pun, it's so obvious, but it was electric.
Good for you.
Thank you.
You get one.
That's it. I know that was I used my allowance.
You get one. But yeah, what a phenomenal scene.
Now maybe the most important aspect of filmmaking is cinematography. How the frame looks, how the film's set up, is it in focus, all the important stuff. Here at Just Mash, we pay close attention to those details. Here's best cinematography.
Cinematography, it's important, obviously, how a movie looks, but to me, it's important in how I remember it, how it makes me feel. So, the nominees for best cinematography.
And the nominees for best cinematography: The Life of Chuck, Is This Thing On?, One Battle After Another, Superman. Train Dreams.
A lot of these movies come up a bunch in this list, but The Life of Chuck, the way that movie shot for ultimate effectiveness, I think it's such a sentimental looking movie on top of the emotional vibes to it. One battle after another. I think some of the more iconic imagery of 2025 kind of comes from one battle after another.
So many different settings too. You've got like the urban cities with banks, and then you're kind of out in the desert or on these long stretches of roads. Like at the end, it's an odyssey.
Yeah, it's so sick. Train Dreams, one of the saddest films of the year, quite frankly. Just no other way to spin it. Looks like a masterpiece, though. I mean, especially the end, but I don't want to spoil it, but the ending I think was shot especially beautifully. But pretty much any scene where they were in the woods or whatever was happening, it just looked so cinematic and immersive, really immersive. Another immersive movie was Is This Thing On? The way the stand-up scenes are shot, I think it's so interesting in Bradley Cooper's films so far. Like they're all about a performer, right? A Star is Born, Maestro, Is This Thing On? They're all about a stage performer with a microphone. And the way that his films are shot, and he's not the cinematographer, but they're his films, but the way they're shot, they're so claustrophobic and in your face in those performance scenes, which I'm sure has to do with the way that he feels about performing, if I had to guess. But the scenes where Will Arnett's doing stand-up, the camera's just so up in his shit, but the way it shoots the audience, but then the way it shoots him with his kids or like him just doing whatever, it feels so intimate, in such an important way. And then Superman. Usually past few years, superhero movies don't look that great. And I really didn't like the way Superman looked in the trailers. Not the character, but the movie. Like I don't like the fish angle lens.
Yeah.
Like I don't usually like that. But this movie looks great. Looks like a comic book, which thumbs up for me. Comic book fan, as you can see surrounding me. I love when, I love when superhero movies actually try and look like a superhero movie. It doesn't like, oh, this is Batman, but in Chicago. It's like, no, we're in Metropolis, and there's a kaiju, and there's a Green Lantern. Like we're doing some weird shit. Let's make it look like it. Let's throw some color out there. Let's do some cool stuff.
Exactly.
So, the winner for best cinematography,
and the Mashie goes to Superman.
Yeah, Superman looks great, feels great, hope, punk rock, etc.
Ties everything together. Like it's the final bow on the visual package that is like that movie experience.
Okay, yeah, I ruined it. That's cinematography.
To me, one of the most important aspects of being a film lover is collecting physical media. Supporting the DVD and Blu-ray industry, buying your favorite films on physical media, it's something that everybody should do. Because of that, companies like Criterion have become huge in the collecting space. And we have exclusive footage to the time that Josh from Just Smash got to step into the Criterion Closet. What's up, guys? Josh from Just Smash here. I'm in the Criterion Closet. Finally, been waiting to do this for a long time, so we'll see what movies that I can pick from. All right, what do we got here? Okay, first up, got Come and See. Pretty good one. 80s Russia, war and stuff. Not too bad. What else we got? Elephant Man. David Lynch. It's a classic. Oh, here we go. Got Justice League, 2017. Joss Whedon, Affleck. It's Batman. I know people wanted the Snyder cut and all that, but I think this is the superior version. What else we got here? Okay, 12 Angry Men. Lumet, bunch of old dudes arguing about stuff, dialogue. Oh, here we go. Ryan Reynolds, Green Lantern, 2011. Hal Jordan, great film. CG is incredible. Taika Waititi, doesn't get better than that. Okay. Graduate, Dustin Hoffman, banging old ladies. I guess old lady. But Simon Garfunkel. So, okay. Fantastic Four, Josh Trank, 2015. Fant Four Stick, known by some people. Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan, the guy that plays the Thing, Kate Mara. This is great, especially Dr. Doom in this film. Blow away. Josh Trank should direct more movies. Release the Trank cut. Oh, God, it's funny to choose from. Hard Day's Night, Beatles. I guess they did some stuff. But, Bob Dylan, Don't Look Back. I think he sang or something like that. And okay, here we go. Thor, Love and Thunder, 2022. Taika Waititi, Chris Hemsworth. We love Hemsworth, Australian. This movie's so funny. I think it's probably the funniest Marvel movie, and they're all funny. But the goats that scream, Thor's back tattoo. Yeah, this is a great one. Oh, God. Paths of Glory. Who's the... Kubrick? Stanley Kubrick? Yeah, that's war and stuff. Again, global conflict. And all right, here. Suicide Squad. Jared Leto. Joker. Damaged. Across the Top. Heard he was sending rats to people and stuff. This movie's sick. The soundtrack, Queen, Beatles too, right? What else? Like Narcissus. I think these are nuns in another country, which they're all the same. But, I like nuns. They're cool sometimes. I heard the cinematology is good in this, but, Oh, okay. Best one on the shelf. Haunted Mansion, Eddie Murphy. 2003. Disneyland. This movie feeds families. I'd like to thank Criterion for bringing me out. A lot of greats. I could probably leave a few of these just to, don't want to be greedy, right? We don't. But hey, this is, who pays for these? Interesting picks. Maybe not for everyone. But without further ado, here is the Just Mash Award for Best Director.
Best Director. This is a tough category every year, especially because if the movie makes it to Best Picture, which is 10 nominees, it's got a strong case for Best Director too. But Best Director, we keep it to 5. So these are the nominees for Best Director.
And the nominees for Best Director are Mike Flanagan, The Life of Chuck. Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another. Chloe Zhao, Hamnet. Eva Victor, Sorry Baby. Ryan Coogler, Sinners.
To me, the director award comes down to how well a filmmaker is able to steer the ship of their film and combine all elements of filmmaking. These 5, I think, are perfect examples of that. Mike Flanagan feels like a Flanagan film. Usually horror is his bag. And this film has horror elements to it, but it's not a horror movie in that same way. But it still feels like a Flanagan film. It's got his underlying tone within it. Ryan Coogler. This film feels like his, the his innermost personal workings and thoughts and feelings, put out in music and acting and writing and the set and all this stuff. I mean, it truly feels like the pinnacle of his artistry in a really phenomenal way.
And no one else could have made this. Like, speaking to that, I can't imagine anybody else trying to take this on and it having the same impact that it does.
Absolutely, yeah. And conversely, no one else could do what Michael B. Jordan did within it. It has to be him, and it has to be Ryan Coogler, and it has to be the Bond from Fruitvale Station to Creed to Black Panther to this. Like, it has to have that behind it. Chloe Chow, what I've never been really a fan of her other films, so I was not expecting Hamnet to do it for me, like, at all. Could not have been more incorrect, could not have been more blown away by how phenomenal of a job she did. Didn't expect the emotional handle that film would have on me.
It's so nuanced.
Job. Yeah. And the interactions of those characters, I think she handled that so delicately when it could have been played like very over the top. And like the acting feels theatrical, but it doesn't feel disingenuous,
Yeah.
And like I had seen an interview where Chloe was talking about the use of color in the movie and assigning blue to Shakespeare and red to Agnes. And if you go back and like watch, it's like, oh yeah, they are color coded.
Interesting.
This movie.
Oh, I love stuff like that.
The way that she was explaining it, like what the colors meant and like the color theory of it. And on top of that, the greens of the forest and then the browns of the interiors of the homes and like just stuff like that. I just thought it was so fascinating. Parent Teacher Association.
Yeah.
With One Battle After Another. PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson. Feels like his movie. I remember another, and we shouldn't shit on these things like when we're celebrating, but another example of a bad trailer.
Yeah.
I did not want to see this movie, and I love PTA, but I thought the trailer sucked.
There were two different ones that were like, oh, this is not any better. Yeah, I just don't know what they were going for with that, because what we actually got was just such a crazy experience, especially in the theater. Like, I'm so glad we saw it when we did.
Yeah. We saw it in XD too, which is like the poor man's IMAX, but it was still cool.
Well, we take what we can get.
It feels like Boogie Nights and There Will Be Blood and The Master. Like it does feel like PTA, and it feels like he's kind of honed his craft through all these years and all these different types of storytelling that he's done. And this was kind of like the culmination of that. And then Eva Victor, I believe it was their first time directing, which is insane. First script too, I want to say, but to write and act in and direct a movie is already the most difficult thing you could do. To do one that personal and emotional and vulnerable, some of the most impressive filmmaking I feel like I've seen in a long time.
For sure.
So, without further ado, the best director.
And the Mashie goes to Ryan Coogler, Sinners.
Ryan Coogler, best director. That's a decision I can get behind. Sinners is just... I mean, it's a generation movie. Yeah, I got involved with that. Yeah. One of the coolest clips.
Love that, man.
He seems like such a cool dude. I would love to hang out with him and just like talk movies. But yeah, I think it truly does feel like his movie in such a way, every element of it feels like his movie. It really feels like this is his award.
Yeah. Agreed.
Two of the most important categories every year are Best Leading Actor and Best Leading Actress. And to celebrate those categories, we've got some special celebrity guests in the house. We've got Dwayne, Johnny Knoxville, for some reason. We also got one of the stand-ins for Judy Hopps from Zootopia 2. She's not in her rabbit costume, but this is my Best Leading Actress.
For Best Leading Actress, we have...
And the nominees for Best Leading Actress: Chase Infinity, One Battle After Another; Renata Rensva, Sentimental Value; Jessie Buckley, Hamnet; Laura Dern, Is This Thing On; Eva Victor, Sorry Baby.
5 incredible performances. Plenty of other performances that didn't end up making it. But yeah, I mean, truly just phenomenal performances. Renata Rensva, sorry if I mispronounced your name, and I'm sure you're watching because most prestigious
I would hope so.
film awards of the year.
Yeah.
Her performance in Sentimental Value is like just insane, so emotional, so magnetic. She does it well, and it's the way it's written, but she has to perform it. The way that her character operates, doing pretty much everything you don't want her to do, or like expect her to do, but it's also justified, and you're like, well, I can get that. I understand that. I just thought it was such an interesting performance, and just one that I liked a lot. Jessie Buckley, Hamnet. I mean, like I said earlier, it's theatric and over the top, but in a genuine way.
It's stylized, but not exaggerated.
Yeah, that's
It's
a good way
perfect.
to put it. Very feels Shakespearean.
Yeah,
honestly, which I'm sure was part of the point.
and it
Good
feels
for us,
modern
nerds.
at the same time. And
Yeah.
I think that that speaks to like how timeless Shakespeare can be, and to like the themes that he taps into, which is sort of a cyclical thing, because the movie sort of explains like why Shakespeare does something, like why he wrote this play, for example. Like I love how just timeless everything feels.
Absolutely. Chase Infinity, one battle after another. I think it's her second credited performance.
Just wild.
Fucking insane. Like, give that chick the world, honestly. I mean, what a phenomenal performance. I don't know how everybody's not beating down her door saying, please star in my movie.
Yeah.
I'm sure they are, but I feel like in a similar vein to Dominic Sessa and The Holdovers a couple years ago, it's like on the same wavelength, and I hope that her career just blows up in the same way, because she also seems like an awesome person. But her character and the way that she plays it, especially like in contrast to all the old people in the movie, to Leo or Del Toro, or I don't call anyone else old, but I don't know, she's so unique within the film. And the scene, the DNA test scene,
oh yeah,
with Sean Penn, and then the scene at the end, with the Rhodes and her and Leo, the exchange that she has with him, the call and response stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she's so great in it.
And you listed a couple of them, but she's going toe to toe with the like seasoned veterans.
True.
Of the crafts, and she's holding her own that well. It's impressive.
Yeah, holding her own and like showing some of them up.
Exactly.
In some ways. Laura Dern is this thing on. I've talked about it plenty. I'm not a Jurassic Park guy. Didn't grow up with it. Don't have an affinity for it at all.
I'll forgive you for it for one day.
We'll yeah, and that'll have to roll into a lifetime. But because of that, I didn't grow up with Laura Dern like a lot of people did. Like my exposure to her, like attachment to her, is like new stuff, really. This is without a doubt my favorite Laura Dern performance. It's so endearing, feels so human, so charismatic too. She's very fun and charming, the way that she approaches that character and how that character feels about life.
Yeah.
One of the best.
Yeah.
And then Eva Victor, Sorry Baby, which we've talked about a bunch, and we'll talk about a bunch more. Human is the word that I always come back to when it comes to that performance. It's just insane. The winner, Best Actress for 2025.
And the Mashie goes to Eva Victor, Sorry Baby.
Yeah. I mean, what else can we say about that performance? I mean, Sorry Baby is just, if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's that
it will stick with you.
Yeah. And the performance, especially the ending scene, with the baby and just everything about it. It just feels so natural and real. Best Lead Actor. This is another, highly contested category of a lot of names. And there's a lot of names that you could have put on here that we didn't, just because you can only have 5. So, Best Actor.
And the nominees for Best Leading Actor are Paul Mescal, Hamnet; Michael B. Jordan, Sinners. Will Arnett, Is This Thing On? Stellan Skarsgård, Sentimental Value. Jesse Plemons, Begonia.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think most people would have expected Will Arnett to be nominated for a Best Acting award just because of the type of stuff he does is mostly humor based. But I walked out of that movie thinking like this is one of my favorite performances I've seen in years.
Yeah, it's so layered, and like I truly believed that he was like in that character and living through that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've just especially since BoJack, like I've been on the serious Will Arnett train any chance I could get. So, and this definitely delivers the perfect blend of that, like you know, the situational humor of life with, oh, this kind of fucking sucks, like this is sad.
Yeah, he engages with the negativity in such a realistic way, and the arguments and the way that he fights also feels very realistic. It's great. Stellan Skarsgård, Sentimental Value, super emotional. It's similar to Jay Kelly in a way,
Yeah,
of the artist that gave so much that now they're left with nothing, you know, in a large sense of it.
Tough Business on Families.
Tough Business on Families, correct. The way that his, you know, he has to interact with his family, and I think a lot of the heavy lifting of this movie does come down to the acting. Any sort of family dynamic scene, I think, is so interesting. So much of that, people, you know, I know he ran for Best Supporting Actor, but I think
Right.
it's just as much of a lead performance as Renata's is. I mean, there's so much of that movie. He's the protagonist of the scene. She's nowhere to be seen, you know. And the way that he interacts with Elle Fanning is so interesting to me.
Yeah,
Yeah, great performance. Paul Mescal, Hamnet. I mean, same thing as Jesse Buckley. It's theatrical, but it's understated in a
Yeah.
way. It's a very subdued, subtle form of theatrical.
Him talking about Orpheus and Eurydice and he's taught like a mythological figure to us is talking about a mythological story that's important to him and is apt to that moment. His delivery is so good.
Yeah. Well, and when
For
he
everything.
does the to be or not to be monologue,
Yeah,
it's so played out in most things. Like that's like to play Frankenstein and to do Hamlet or like the actor's wet dream. So I almost kind of roll my eyes when I see someone do one of those things. This was a way to introduce that monologue in a way that's not doing, you're not doing Hamlet. It's not an actor playing Hamlet. You know what I mean? It felt like the most emotionally rewarding version of that monologue for me as someone who's seen Hamlet, you know, how many times I've
Agreed.
read it or whatever. You know, it was such a unique way to do it. And so much of that comes down to his performance. Michael B. Jordan, Sinners, you know, specifically Smoke, but just his performance in the film in general. The ending is so powerful,
Oh.
you know, where he's fucking mowing those dudes down. And then the hallucination, you could say, you know, of him with what he, you know, what his perfect ending would be.
Yeah.
But the way he carries himself throughout the film and the protector that he is and the provider and the way that he fights is just, you can get behind it, you know, the emotional pull of it and the dichotomy of Smoke and Stack is just
and having to play them differently and like having the different nuances and body languages in your head, keeping track of that. It's
absolutely. And then Jesse Plemons, Begonia, feels like I really do think Jesse Plemons is a top 5 working actor currently. I think he gets
our guy.
Yeah, like he deserves so much more recognition than he gets. Even like, I mean, it would have been 2 years ago for his scene in Civil War. It's like one of the greatest supporting performances of all time. It's crazy how good
it's one of the most memorable things about that movie.
Yeah, but then also Breaking Bad and The Master, and like you could just go on and on about everything that this
Game Night.
Yeah, Game Night. One of the dude. That's if we were doing 2017 right now, I would nominate that.
I know, same.
It's great. He's so good. But best leading actor,
and the Mashie goes to Paul Mescal, Hamnet.
Yeah, Paul Mescal for Hamnet. It's any one of these dudes could win. That's what it comes down to with these categories. Like it's so like neck and neck with each other. But
Yeah.
I think the emotional depth of Paul Mescal as Shakespeare is just so interesting, and it was so unique to how we see real people be played, especially like from a different time period. Yeah, probably my favorite, maybe my favorite performance of the year.
Yeah, it's so fresh, and I can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. What a night it's been so far here at the Just MASH Film Awards 2026. And here we've come to our last category, the main event, Best Picture. This is the category that assembles all of the aspects of filmmaking. It is the best film of the year. Here at Just MASH, we nominate 10 films for Best Picture. So without further ado, here are the 10 films nominated for Best Picture in 2026.
Here we are, Best Picture, the grand finale of 2025 in film. The nominees for Best Picture are...
And the nominees for Best Picture are... Hamnet, Sorry Baby, Neja 2, One Battle After Another, Is This Thing On, The Life of Chuck, The Voice of Hinder Job, J. Kelly, Wake Up Dead Man, Sinners.
So we've got 10 nominees here, 10 films that we felt were worthy of Best Picture. Is This Thing On? We've talked about it a lot tonight. It's a movie that didn't get its due, but it's a really funny, emotional, realistic story. It's something everybody should go out of their way to watch. One Battle After Another, PTA at its best. Blew us away. I mean, we didn't expect to like it.
No.
Captured our imagination in such a fascinating way. The characters, just the way the film unfolds, it's just so interesting. Wake Up Dead Man, Knives Out 3. Sentimentally, I hold attachment to this movie for the night that we saw it. But on top of that, it is a great film. The performances are great. I love the mystery. I love the way it unfolds. Rian Johnson just knows what he's doing. The Voice of Hinder Job, one of the most important films of our lifetime, I would say. I understand why somebody wouldn't want to watch it. I understand it's a heavier watch and it's sad. And if you already are on the right side of that, maybe you don't need to watch a movie to feel like you are. But I do think it's so important to be reminded of what people are fighting for and how horrible things are right now and who needs to be stood up for and the way that, things have unfolded. And that poor girl, Hinder Job, with the way that her story went, devastating, but it needs to be told. And the way that they did it, there's a way that you could be sensationalist about that story. There's a way that you could exploit it and tell it in like a really unfortunate nature. I felt like they did it the exact right way. They did it in the most effective way, and they did it in the most caring way.
Fully agree.
The best version of how you could tell that, Hamnet. I mean, we just sucked the dick of Hamnet for... I shouldn't have said it like that. we just swallowed the load of Hamnet, I'm not editing that out.
No, please don't.
For sure gonna stay.
Please don't. That's so...
It wouldn't be us if that did.
yeah, 100%.
We cradled the nuts of Hamnet for, a good long while.
Willie Shakes.
But truly a emotional powerhouse that film is. J. Kelly, I talked about that. I cradled the balls of J. Kelly too.
he got one in one hand and some in the other hand.
Yeah, it was open mouth though.
That's what two hands are.
Truly though, I just thought it was such a fascinating deconstruction of the movie star. One of Netflix's best films. Sinners. What can be said about Sinners that hasn't been said? What can we say about it that we haven't said about it? It's a generational film. It's one that everybody will talk about. I think that it is going to be like the the E.T., the Jurassic Park, the Big Lebowski, like the movie that people talk about, for that year.
A classic in the making.
Neja 2, one of the greatest animated films, cannot be overstated. Like, you gotta go check this movie out. They're both 1 and 2 are on HBO Max or whatever it ends up being called.
I would love a third one.
Yeah, a third one would be sick. And if they take 7 years to make it, take that.
It'd be worth it.
Do what you gotta do. Just flawless animation, just incredible film. The Life of Chuck. I mean, we haven't gone on and on enough about it on the podcast, just because we haven't done as many since we saw it. But one of the most important films for us specifically, the emotional weight of it, the way it's formatted. Can't say good enough things about The Life of Chuck. And Sorry Baby, which we've cradled the balls of Sorry Baby too, I mean, one of my favorite movies of the year. Just, yeah, great film. So without a doubt, Best Picture.
And the Mashie goes to The Life of Chuck.
The Life of Chuck. I think people are probably going to be surprised by that. I think some people will probably be annoyed by that. I understand being tired of hope movies, hope core, optimist type stuff. I understand it. I think The Life of Chuck does it in such a meaningful way, in an individualistic way that's not egocentric or anything like that, but it's very much like, hey, this is what you're going through and this is how you deal with it. And to me, it was so unique because you were Chuck. The way you move through the film is the way you move through life, with all of these mentors and enemies and friends and family that come and they impart with you the wisdom that you'll carry long past your interactions with them, from childhood to the end. The way that first act functions is insane. I was distraught when we saw this film in theaters during the first act, because the world also feels like it's ending. Like, let's be real. Like, it feels like we're at the end, So for that first act to be what it was, made me hate it in a way, because I was like, I'm going to have an anxiety attack in this theater.
Yeah.
But the comfort that follows by the end, and even with what the story is, it's not a comforting tale.
No.
But Flanagan finds a way to make it like a hug in a way. The performances, the dialogue, music, everything about it.
And just
incredible.
The way that they turn something that feels so unfair into something that's like, it's still unfair, but there's a sort of hand on your shoulder by the end of it.
Yeah.
That's what this movie feels like, is that hand on your shoulder.
Yeah. And, we don't give 5 stars out a lot. Since I got on Letterboxd in 2014, one of my hallmarks has been, you can be fast and loose with whatever you rate something. The 5-star has to mean something.
It's sacred.
And if you don't do it that way, that's fine. It's your Letterboxd. We're not gonna do star ratings discourse, right? But to me, the 5-star has to mean something. If I tell somebody this is one of my 5s, I want it to mean something. So I've seen 3,000 something movies. I've only given 65 stars. Chuck is a 5-star film for my sensibilities, for what movies mean to me, for the way it makes me think and feel and operate and move. That's a 5-star film.
Could not agree more.
Yeah. So that's the Best Picture. That's The Life of Chuck. That's 2025 in film from Josh and Matthew of the Just Smash podcast.
And there you have it, folks. That is the year in cinema for 2025, celebrated by Josh and Matthew from Just Smash Production. Am I getting played off? Is music starting right? This is my show. What's going on here? I'm not even getting paid for this. Are we serious? Okay, well, I've been Josh from Just Smash. Until next time.